It
Ugh,
starts
these
as
old
something
bones.
small. You get out of bed in the morning, and your knees don't quite straighten like they used to. You try to reach for a cup in the
Oh, my
cabinet,
knee.
and your
It's
shoulders
really
ache
acting
more
up
than
this
you
morning.
expected. You sit down after dinner, and your fingers feel just a little stiffer than they were yesterday. Maybe it's not sharp pain, but something's there, deep, lingering, quietly growing louder over time, and soon a pattern starts to form. The stairs take a little longer. The walk to the mailbox feels a little heavier. And one day, it hits you. This isn't just aging. There's something happening inside your body, and it's holding you back. Doctors call it chronic low-grade inflammation. But what it really means is this: your joints are silently swelling. Your tissues are quietly irritated, and your muscles are struggling to recover from the tiniest everyday activities. Here's the real surprise, though. This kind of inflammation doesn't always start with an injury. It can begin with your food. That's right. What you eat and what you don't eat can either calm inflammation or fuel it, especially when it comes to protein. Now I know what you might be thinking. Protein, isn't that just for building muscles? Yes, but that's only part of the story. Because the type of protein you choose can either soothe your joints or make them stiffer by the day. And here's where it gets even more important for seniors. As we age, our bodies process protein differently. We need more of it. But we also need it to come from the right sources that don't cause stress acidity or hidden inflammation. That's where plant-based proteins come in. Now let me be clear, this isn't about cutting out meat entirely. It's about knowing that certain plants contain powerful compounds that not only provide clean protein, they actively reduce inflammation. And the good news? You don't need to switch your entire diet. Just adding these 3 simple ingredients into your week consistently and at the right time could help you ease stiffness in your hands and knees, recover faster after walking or gardening, and even reduce your dependency on medications that only mask the pain. But here's what really surprised me. Most seniors don't even realize these foods are available, or worse, they think they're bland, boring, or too hard to prepare. That's why this video is different. Because I'm going to show you how 3 humble plant-based proteins, lentils, chickpeas, and tofu, can become powerful allies in your fight against arthritis. And not just in theory. You'll see the real science. You'll hear the personal stories. And you'll discover simple ways to bring them into your meals, even if you've never tried them before. But don't skip ahead just yet, because in the last part of this video, I'll reveal which of these 3 foods has the most remarkable anti-inflammatory effect, and how one small change helped a 72-year-old woman finally get out of her chair without pain for the first time in years. If you've ever felt stiff, sore, or slower than you used to be, you're not alone. And you're not powerless. Let's take a closer look at the foods that can help you move better, feel stronger, and live with less pain. Starting with a food that's been overlooked for far too long but might just change how you feel in your knees by the end of the week. Let's begin. 1. Lentils. Walter never thought much about protein. At 71, he had his routine toast and jam for breakfast, a turkey sandwich for lunch, and maybe some soup at dinner. It felt simple, safe. He was never a health nut. He didn't care for gym memberships or the latest diet trends. But what Walter did care about was walking. Every morning he took the same 2-mile loop through his neighborhood in Oregon, past the oak trees, up the little hill near the church, then back around by the mailbox. Until one morning, it hurt to finish the loop. It wasn't an injury. Not exactly. But the stiffness in his knees had gotten worse. More than that, he just felt weak. Like his legs weren't catching up with his will to move. At first he brushed it off. Maybe the weather was changing. Maybe he needed new shoes. But nothing helped. The final straw came when he had to stop midway through his walk and sit on a bench near the park. He rubbed his knees, frustrated. And that's when a woman walking her dog sat down beside him. Her name was Marion. She was 68 and swore by joint-friendly food especially a dish she made with lentils, turmeric, and garlic. Lentils? Walter laughed. Isn't that just something vegans eat? Marion smiled. Not when they help your knees stop screaming at you. Walter shrugged. But later that day, he looked them up. And that's when everything started to change. Walter wasn't wrong, lentils do show up a lot in plant-based meals. But what he didn't know, and what many seniors still don't realize, is that lentils aren't just for filling space on a plate. They're actually one of the most powerful anti-inflammatory proteins in the plant world. First, lentils are packed with plant-based protein, about 18 grams per cooked cup. That's more than enough to support muscle maintenance in aging bodies. But here's where they shine. They're rich in polyphenols, natural compounds that reduce oxidative stress and inflammation. In fact, studies show that lentils contain two particularly important ones, procyanidin and flavin-3-OL, both linked to a lower risk of inflammatory conditions like arthritis. Lentils also provide folate, iron, and fiber nutrients that help your body rebuild cartilage, improve circulation, and maintain steady energy levels throughout the day. And unlike red meat or highly processed protein bars, lentils are low in saturated fat. That means they won't trigger the kind of inflammation that sneaks up in your joints. Another bonus, they're easy on the gut. Many older adults experience bloating or indigestion after eating meat or dairy-heavy meals. Lentils digest more smoothly, especially when cooked well, and support a healthy gut microbiome, which plays a hidden but powerful role in controlling inflammation throughout the body. So when Walter started replacing one of his weekly meat-based lunches with a warm bowl of spiced lentil stew, he didn't just feel healthier. He felt lighter, calmer. And for the first time in weeks, his knees didn't ache at the end of his walk. For years, researchers have been uncovering the quiet power of lentils, especially when it comes to fighting inflammation at its root. One landmark study from Harvard School of Public Health followed over 6,000 adults aged 50 and above. It found that participants who regularly ate lentils had 25% lower levels of C-reactive protein CRP, one of the most reliable markers of chronic inflammation in the body. CRP is especially important in seniors with arthritis. When CRP levels rise, it's often a sign that the immune system is overreacting, attacking healthy tissue in the joints and muscles. This leads to stiffness, swelling, and the kind of deep, nagging pain that keeps many seniors from walking or sleeping well. But lentils appear to help bring those CRP levels back down naturally. How? It's a combination of factors. Their polyphenols reduce oxidative stress, which prevents joint tissue damage. Their fiber supports a healthy gut microbiome, which plays a surprising role in modulating inflammation throughout the body. And their magnesium and potassium help relax tight muscles and improve blood flow, making movement smoother and less painful. What's even more encouraging is that these benefits aren't reserved for people who eat lentils daily. In that same Harvard study, even those who ate lentils just twice a week showed measurable improvements in joint flexibility, reduced stiffness upon waking, and fewer reported pain episodes over a 6-month period. That's the kind of change Walter began to feel too. And he didn't need expensive supplements or injections. Just a simple, humble food cooked well, eaten consistently, and given time to work its quiet magic. Walter's breakthrough didn't come from adding lentils once and forgetting about them. It came from learning how to use them properly, in a way that's both practical and powerful for aging joints. First, he stopped thinking of lentils as just side dishes. Instead, he started treating them as a foundation for meals, warm, nourishing, and designed to support his body's recovery. One of his favorite choices, a simple lentil soup with turmeric and black pepper. Turmeric adds a natural anti-inflammatory kick, and black pepper increases its absorption. Combined with the gentle fiber and minerals from the lentils, it became his go-to lunch on colder days. On warmer days, Walter turned to a chilled lentil salad mixed with olive oil, parsley, and chopped cucumbers. It was light, refreshing, and easy to digest exactly what his body needed to recover without feeling heavy or bloated. Another tip he followed: portion control matters. Too much of even a good thing can upset the stomach. He found that 1–2 cups of cooked lentils per day, about the size of a small handful, was his sweet spot. Enough to ease joint stiffness and nourish his muscles without overwhelming his digestion. And timing played a role too. Walter often enjoyed his lentils at lunch rather than dinner. That gave his body time to fully absorb the nutrients during the day, fueling his afternoon walks and helping his legs feel stronger as the sun went down. It wasn't a radical change, but day by day, week by week, the pain softened. The joints loosened. And the man who once groaned when standing up now stood tall without a sound. 2. Chickpea. At 69, Caroline had grown used to the creaking in her knees. Stairs became slower. Getting out of the car took effort. And she always kept an anti-inflammatory cream by her bedside, just in case the pain flared up during the night. Like many, she believed her joint issues were simply part of aging. "You're getting older," her neighbors would say. "Just be careful and rest more." But Caroline didn't want just to rest more. She wanted to move, to walk with her friends again, to dance a little in the kitchen while cooking, without wincing every time she pivoted her feet. One evening, during a visit from her niece, something unexpected happened. Her niece had brought a Mediterranean-style dinner: roasted vegetables, a light tahini dressing, and a warm chickpea salad. Caroline hadn't eaten chickpeas in years. She always thought they were too heavy, or that they didn't offer much benefit. But that night, she slept unusually well. And the next morning, the usual stiffness in her knees, noticeably softer. Her niece smiled and said, "Chickpeas aren't just filling. They're powerful little anti-inflammatory machines." That single comment sent Caroline down a new path, one where food wasn't just for fullness, but for freedom. And the humble chickpea, which she once overlooked, became the unlikely star of her recovery story. Chickpeas may seem simple, even bland to some. But when it comes to reducing joint pain and inflammation, these little legumes carry serious power. First, they're packed with plant-based protein, the kind that supports muscle strength around joints without overloading the body with saturated fat, like red meat does. But it doesn't stop there. Chickpeas are also rich in manganese, a mineral crucial for joint lubrication and cartilage repair. Low levels of manganese have been linked to increased joint stiffness and slower recovery after strain, something many seniors experience but don't realize is mineral-related. They're also an excellent source of folate and vitamin B6, which support the reduction of homocysteine, an inflammatory marker often elevated in people with chronic joint issues. More importantly, chickpeas offer a rare benefit. They're low glycemic. Why does that matter? Because unlike high-carb snacks that spike your blood sugar, and with it inflammatory signals, chickpeas digest slowly. This helps keep blood sugar and insulin stable, which in turn keeps inflammation down. And let's not forget fiber. Just half a cup of chickpeas delivers around 6 to 7 grams of dietary fiber, most of it the soluble kind. That fiber feeds the good bacteria in your gut, which play a surprising role in managing systemic inflammation. In short, chickpeas don't just sit quietly in your salad bowl. They're actively working behind the scenes to repair, protect, and balance, helping your joints bend, stretch, and move with greater ease. Science has caught up with what many cultures have known for centuries. Chickpeas aren't just a humble food, they're a medicinal ally in disguise. In a study published by the Journal of Nutrition and Inflammation, adults over 60, who incorporated chickpeas into their diets for just 8 weeks, showed significant reductions in C-reactive protein CRP, a well-known blood marker for inflammation. That's important because high CRP levels are strongly associated with joint pain, stiffness, and even degeneration in osteoarthritis. Another study from the University of Adelaide tracked older adults who replaced refined carbohydrates with legumes, especially chickpeas in their evening meals. After 6 weeks, participants reported a 25% reduction in morning joint stiffness and a notable improvement in sleep quality, which is often disturbed by nighttime inflammation. What's more, chickpeas contain a powerful compound called butyrate precursor fiber. This helps your gut produce short-chain fatty acids that don't just aid digestion, they help downregulate inflammatory cytokines in the bloodstream. That means less swelling, less pain, and more flexibility to do what you love, whether it's gardening, walking the dog, or simply getting out of bed without grimacing. Even nutrition guidelines from the Arthritis Foundation now list chickpeas among the most joint-friendly foods, thanks to their ability to fuel muscle-soothe tissues and keep inflammation at bay without relying on pills. It's a quiet kind of healing, but for many seniors, it's exactly the kind they need. Chickpeas aren't just powerful, they're practical. You don't need to learn any fancy recipes or spend hours in the kitchen. In fact, the best way to use chickpeas for joint health is also the simplest: warm, soft, and seasoned just right. Here's what works best for seniors: mashed chickpeas with turmeric and olive oil. This combination doesn't just taste good. It brings together 3 of nature's top anti-inflammatory agents in one spoonful. Use it as a spread for toast or as a side dish at dinner. Hearty chickpea stew. Add carrots, celery, garlic, and a pinch of cumin. Let it simmer. It's easy on the jaw, gentle on digestion, and helps hydrate tissues overnight. Cold chickpea salad. Mix cooked chickpeas with diced cucumbers, parsley, lemon juice, and a bit of feta cheese. Perfect for warm afternoons when joints tend to feel stiffer. Now about when to eat them. Chickpeas are best consumed in the evening when your body enters repair mode, your inflammation levels tend to rise, and your joints need a calm, steady fuel source. Aim for half a cup cooked 3 to 4 times per week. And if you're just getting started, begin with small amounts to give your digestive system time to adjust. Oh, and one last tip. Always rinse canned chickpeas thoroughly to reduce excess sodium. Or even better, soak and cook dried ones. They're softer, easier on the gut, and retain more magnesium and potassium. Gentle, healing, reliable. That's the chickpea. 3. Tofu. Linda used to think tofu was bland and boring. At 69, she was more focused on managing her joint pain than experimenting with strange new foods. Every morning, her knees felt stiff. Walking down the stairs was the worst. Each step triggered a dull ache that never fully went away. She tried over-the-counter pain relievers. She even bought a pricey collagen supplement from a TV ad. But nothing really changed. Then one day, her neighbor, a retired dietitian, brought her a bowl of miso soup with tofu and seaweed. Linda wasn't expecting much. But after a few days of adding tofu into her meals, something shifted. She started waking up with less stiffness. She could move through her morning stretches without that deep, grinding pressure in her knees. It wasn't a miracle, but it felt like her body was finally calming down. And the key ingredient: a soft, silky block of tofu. Why tofu deserves a second look. Tofu has been a staple in Asian cultures for centuries, but in the U.S., it's often misunderstood or completely overlooked. For seniors struggling with joint pain and inflammation, this humble plant protein offers 3 big benefits. Complete protein source. Unlike most plant foods, tofu contains all 9 essential amino acids. These are the building blocks. Your joints' cartilage and connective tissues need to stay strong and repair damage. Rich in isoflavones are natural plant compounds that reduce inflammation, especially in postmenopausal women. They help regulate oxidative stress, one of the silent drivers of joint aging. High in calcium and magnesium, tofu, made with calcium sulfate, provides a gentle source of calcium without the bloating that dairy can cause. And magnesium helps relax tense muscles around inflamed joints. Plus, it's incredibly low in saturated fat, so it won't trigger systemic inflammation the way fatty meats or fried snacks can. The result? Less stiffness, more flexibility, and a smoother recovery after simple activities like walking, gardening, or standing for long periods. What science says about tofu and inflammation. Tofu's benefits aren't just folklore. They've been tested and proven in scientific studies. In a 2021 meta-analysis published in the Journal of Clinical Rheumatology, researchers found that diets high in soy isoflavones significantly reduced inflammation markers like CRP C-reactive protein and IL-6 in older adults with joint issues. Another study from the University of Michigan tracked over 2,000 women aged 60 and above. Those who consumed tofu or soy-based foods 3 to 5 times per week reported lower joint pain scores, increased walking speed, less morning stiffness. Even more impressive MRI scans showed less cartilage breakdown in those regularly consuming soy proteins. It's believed that the isoflavones in tofu not only reduce inflammation, but also protect joint tissues from oxidative damage, the slow wear and tear process behind arthritis. And here's something many don't realize. Tofu's softness is a major advantage. Unlike meats, which take longer to digest and can leave behind inflammatory byproducts, tofu breaks down gently, allowing your body to absorb nutrients without triggering a stress response. It's not just food. It's joint therapy served warm, soft, and healing. How to eat tofu for joint relief. You don't need to become a vegan chef to enjoy tofu. You just need the right approach and a few simple ideas. Here's how seniors can make the most of tofu. Silken tofu in soups. Perfect for cold days or achy mornings. Add soft tofu to vegetable broth with ginger mushrooms or spinach. The warmth soothes your stomach and your joints. Pan-seared tofu cubes. Use firm tofu, drain it well, and sauté with olive oil, turmeric, and garlic. This not only tastes great, it boosts the anti-inflammatory power of your meal. Tofu scramble. Tired of eggs? Crumble firm tofu into a pan with bell peppers and onions. A savory, high-protein breakfast with none of the cholesterol. When to eat tofu? Aim for lunch or early dinner. This gives your body time to process the nutrients, so by the time you're ready to sleep, your joints are already in recovery mode. How much? Start with half a cup cooked 3 to 4 times a week. And don't worry about soy myths. The latest research confirms that moderate soy intake is safe and beneficial for both men and women over 60. If you've never tried tofu before, here's one last suggestion. Try it with a friend. Cook a simple dish together. Talk about the taste. And notice in a week or two whether your joints feel calmer, your steps feel lighter. It's not magic. It's magnesium isoflavones and gentle nourishment, all wrapped into one soft bite. Imagine this. It's early morning. The sun is just beginning to rise. And you're standing in your kitchen stretching your arms without wincing. No sharp knee pain. No dull ache in your hips. Just quiet comfort. And the simple joy of moving without hesitation. Now think back to just a few weeks ago. Maybe you struggled to get out of bed. Maybe the stairs felt like a mountain. Maybe your hands, stiff from the night before, needed time before they could even pour your coffee. But now you've found something better. You're nourishing your joints not with pills, not with gimmicks, but with real food. You've discovered that what you put on your plate can either stoke the fire of inflammation or cool it down one meal at a time. Lentils, chickpeas, tofu. 3 simple plant-based proteins that are changing the way seniors think about aging. Not as a steady decline, but as a second chance to move freely again, to garden again, to walk without fear, to pick up your grandchild, or dance to an old song on the radio without worrying if your body will protest. We're not saying these foods are a cure, but they are a powerful research-backed accessible step toward a life with less pain and more possibility. So if this video has given you hope, or even just curiosity, take a moment to let us know. Hit the like button to tell YouTube this kind of content matters. Subscribe to Better Health so we can keep sharing tips that are grounded in science and made for seniors like you. And if you feel like sharing, leave a comment below. Tell us what's one food that's helped your joints or one you're now excited to try. Because when we share our stories, we grow stronger together. And when we eat with intention, we heal more than just our bodies. We heal our hope. Until next time, stay steady, stay nourished, and keep moving forward.